Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining the stream. My name is Mabbies. I'm one of the organizers for Let's Games Tokyo. We're a bilingual site that runs Global Game Jam every year here in Tokyo. 皆さんこんばんは。ご参加いただきありがとうございます。僕はマビズと申します。グローバルゲームジャムLet's Games Tokyo のサイトのメンター続けましょうかAlright じゃあ毎年でグローバルゲームジャムと呼ばれるゲームを開発ハカソンのイベントは世界中に行います。大丈夫ですか？
The camera's just a little bit weird.
Okay.
One sec.
Back for now. Okay. Everyone let us know in the chat if everything's still going well with the stream. Where was I? Anyway, we at Let's Games Tokyo like to help each other out no matter what our skill level is. And one of the perks of our site is that we have mentors available to help you learn while you're building your game. Every year our mentors do pre-jam learning sessions like the one you're attending tonight on topics like new game engines or how to import things into your game, how to plan your game, and more. And at any time you can ask us questions here in chat or in person at the jam. We are very grateful to all of our mentors who have volunteered their time and energy to share their knowledge with you. Alright, 技術ノウハウに構わず知識を共有し互いに助け合うことを I don't know how to read that one.
原則
としています。レッツゲームズ東京の特典として参加者を作成している時に学ぶのを助けるためにメンターにお願いすることができます。メンターは新しいゲームエンジン、アセットを購入方法、計画をの立て方などの専門的なトピックについてイベント前に学習セッションに行っています。そして何よりイベントの会場で直接メンターに質問することができます。ボランティアとして時間のノウハウを One more time, I'm gonna ask for a little reading help. ボランティアとして時間のノウハウを加えて皆さんと共有してくれたメンターたちに心から感謝しています。This year our mentors are Eric, who gave a talk last night, Philippe, Matt, Josiah, Jaren, and Yaya. Okay. Sorry for the technical issues, everyone. Alright. Yesterday, for everyone who came, Eric presented a topic on developing games in Pico 8. Tonight, we'll have CJ talking on 3 game engines you've never heard of. Feel free to ask questions at any time during the stream. 昨日、エリックさんは Pico 8について話しました。今夜は CJ に知らない3つの楽しいインディーゲームエンジンについて話します。質問にあればぜひチャットに聞いてください。つけて話に続けましょう。Okay, we will continue without the camera. Before I pass off to CJ, a small request. We are a volunteer-run organization. We rely on your donations to provide snacks and drinks and fun activities to our participants.
And cameras.
And webcams that work. Please consider giving 500 or 1,000 yen or whatever you can to our Ko-Fi at Global Game Jam Tokyo. Link is on the bottom of the screen now. That'll help support our site. We really appreciate it. This year we will have more people than we were expecting, upwards of 50 participants. So our snack budget may run out. じゃあ、レッツゲームズ東京はボランティアで運営されており、参加者にスナックや飲み物、アクティビティなどを提供するために金がかかっています。グローバルゲームジャム東京のコーファイにリンクを通して活動を支援するために500円から1000円に寄付していただければよろしくお願いします。I'm now going to pass off to CJ to talk about 3 game engines you've never heard of.
Excellent. It's really not working. Okay. It's going to be interesting because let's see. Can everyone see my screen?
How about now?
You have to do group capture screen sharing. There you go.
Hey.
Oh, okay. So tonight, everyone, unfortunately you can't see my beautiful face, but I assure you I look stunning. Tonight I would like to send over my script, which is going to be in English and in Japanese. 皆さん、今回はちょっとオーガナイザーとして時間があんまりなくて母国語にしようかなと、決定されましたので、私のスクリプトを用意しました。日本語のスクリプトも用意しましたので、ぜひぜひご覧ください。あとは、日本語でも英語でも構いませんので、質問をチャットでポンとなんか書いてあげばありがたいです。So I speak both English and Japanese relatively fluently, but because of the lack of preparation time, I am deciding to go for my native language. But I have prepared a script for you, so you can see it in the link in the chat. All right. So, without further ado, let me present to you the 3 fun indie games you've never heard, or indie game engines you've never heard of. So, for those of you who don't know me, my name is CJ. I'm a designer, researcher, and indie dev that works at Studio Terranova, which is a 2-person independent video game studio and a software consultancy here in Tokyo, Japan. We made a game. It's called Terranova. And it is a game that both Mabby's and I are very proud of, and is one that is about the early LiveJournal days of yore. If you haven't played it before, definitely give it a try. So, a little backstory of me. While I do code, I'm an artist, not a programmer. So when I build games, I'm building them on the storytelling aspect of the game and not the features of the game. So my approach isn't for everyone. The way that I choose engines is by looking at their features and seeing how they can evoke some kind of emotion. And usually the engines that I choose have a lot of constraints to help me focus my message. Terranova was built in a custom game engine, but before we built it in a custom game engine, it was originally built in Twine, and then later on in Figma, when we needed to do more visual work. So things that are really quick and dirty prototyping, I really enjoy. This session is for those of you who are still figuring out what they want to use, or for those of you who are good at one engine like Unity or Unreal and want to know what out there is there, because there's more than just the big game engines that are used for making AAA games down to indie games. There's even smaller indie game engines. So tonight I'll be introducing 3 indie game engines that will be sure to inspire you, and I hope that you enjoy. So first, I would like to introduce a game engine called Decker. And Decker is a game engine by Internet Janitor. It's good for zines, it's good for visual novels, it's good for weird and fun drawings that look like MS Paint. It was heavily based off of the Macintosh HyperCard system, so it's a series of cards that can be linked together. It's good for soundboards or sound experiences because you can embed sounds straight into the cards. And it's also good for point-and-click games. As you might have already noticed, Decker is in black and white. And there's something really stark and nice and visual about the black and white interface of Decker. Decker does not support color. It only supports this particular style of visual and aesthetic. And I wanted to look at Decker and exploit the way that it looks and the way that it functions for the purpose of personal stories as told through tarot cards. Now, for those of you who are not familiar with the concept of zines, zines are short for magazines, which were popularized, I guess, in the 1970s and 1980s, primarily print-outable. Personal stories, information. Sometimes the information was about live punk shows. Sometimes the information was about feminism, about protests in the community. But because color printing was really, really expensive, people primarily used black and white dot printing. And so this mimics a lot of that old school black and white dot printing that I really enjoy for zines. So similarly, I wanted to make some kind of zine, a gritty kind of zine quality type game. So first I'm going to play the game that I made, and then I'm going to point out some features of the game that I think are useful and inspirational. So this is the game that I made in Decker. And these are, you can see here that there's 3 clickable buttons. These are tarot cards, and each, if you click on the buttons right here, that you can access personal stories that are based on each of the tarot cards. So these allow you to transition to a new card, which is like a new page, or it allows you to play a sound or trigger some kind of script. So let's say that we trigger the sun. We'll move our card over to the side, and that's a transition. It still has the image here of the sun, and we have this little story that we can enjoy about the sun, about the keywords relating to the sun, like freedom, fun, success, optimism, and joy. And then we can go back to the other cards. And each of the transitions is designed so that we are moving in a different space, so that it feels like each of the cards are laid out in front of you and you're sort of examining the card on a different part of the mat. So the star, we move up, and we can read our story here. And we move back down. And then the moon, we move to the right. And we move back to the left. So I really liked this for the idea of basically utilizing the card system in a way that allows people to think of the cards as maybe like a large mat where you're looking around at different parts or different aspects of the story. So the elements that you'll notice as I click through here is you've got your button elements, which I previously explained. These image elements, which are non-clickable pieces of interface, they can't be interacted with unless paired with a button. But if you import images, it will auto-convert them to these sort of cool black and white dots. So these originally were images that were high-quality scans of tarot cards that were previously in full color, and when I imported them into Decker, they got that cool black and white tiling, which I think is really cool that it automatically does that for you. Some things that you can notice about the text. There are 3 different types of text in Decker. There's a header text, there's a code text, which is what I used here, and then there's a different text that is not pictured here. So you can use titles, text boxes, and then even scrollable text boxes if you wanted to make a long story or a long article or something. Again, really well set up for zines or choose your own adventure games where you have long text. And then the transitions. These are transitions that I would liken to PowerPoint or Keynote, and can be used to transition from card to card. Now these are the basic features of Decker. So let's take a look. I'm currently in interact mode right now. Let's take a look at how I built this. So if you go into Decker, there are two ways to interact with Decker. The first is by using it as a web interface, which is what I'm doing right now. And the second is downloading it off of itch.io in the link that's provided in the chat. And both you can use to edit things. The native app is a lot more, how do I say, flexible than the web view. But the web view will be fine for our little tutorial here. So there are two modes in Decker. One is interact, which is the play version of the game. You're playing the game. And then the other is widgets. So now once we switch to widgets, you can see that these are selectable. And if I double click them, we can open up these button properties. So Decker has a scripting language called Lil that it utilizes. You can see that it, based on what I had chosen for the transition to slide down, it's generated a script, and you can generate your own custom script in here. But a lot of the actions are used using the graphic user interface, and then afterwards you add custom scripts. So we're going to close the script for now. So if you want to get into the script part of it, you can just click here. But if you want to see what kind of templated actions are available, then you just click into action here. And you will see the button action right here. So you can choose the card that it transitions to. You can choose with transition. You can choose for it to play a sound. It can play a sound and transition at the same time. Again, this is also the reason why Decker is really good for sound boxes. So prototyping sound boxes, because you can just make a button play a sound, and that sound can be chosen off of your hard drive. And you can even have your own audio editor in here. So it really is like just an interesting, like, you can do really interesting sound experiments with it. I would say that one of the cool parts about, I'm going to delete that. One of the cool parts about Decker is that it has the ability to have a kind of like ambient quality to it, where people are like browsing a zine and you're playing ambient music, or ambient sounds are being played as you're selecting and clicking things. So this is a really cool, and despite having a lot of constraints, a really powerful tool. Let's see. Is there anything else that I wanted to mention? So the images, I imported the images like this, and you can't see because it's in browser, but it just popped up a Finder window on my Mac, and is asking me where I wanted to place things. So let's say I wanted to place a Global Game Jam Tokyo thing. Oh, it's here, right here. And that was previously a color image, but it's been converted into this little like cute dot printer type situation. One of the things I found kind of difficult to understand about Decker that I think is just worth noting is that the way that you move around images is using the select tool and then dragging and dropping this selection. It's a little counterintuitive. And on the native application, it doesn't take the background with it, but on the web application, it does take the background with it. So that's just something to remember when you're developing in Decker. Okay, so let's move over. Yes. The other thing to mention is that Decker is made of cards. And you can see all of the cards here. So you'll see this is the home screen, this is the moon, sun, and star. So we can navigate to each of these like this. Or I've actually found a better way of navigating is just by going into Tool, Interact, and then clicking on the button to get to whatever card, situation. Now, one of the things I will note is that based on what I have noticed with playing around with Decker is that when it comes to a lot of cards, if you're dealing with a lot of cards in Decker, all of the cards are on a flat hierarchy, so there's no folders, there's no layers or anything that you're going to be working with. And so just be aware that if you have tons and tons of pages, that you could easily get lost if you don't have a good numbering system. Cool. So we have the image here. We have a background here that I put in a rectangle. We can directly edit things from here. And if we click into the widgets, you'll see the text here. If you want your text to have a scroll bar, you can have it have a scroll bar, border, and rich text, plain text, and code are the three different font choices for your text. Cool. So yeah, that is the basic operation of Decker, and I think this is a really cool little tool. I also wanted to mention that Decker has documentation. It is only in English. I'm going to put it in the chat here. There we go. And there are ways of doing animations. Something I didn't get into that is useful to know is that if you're drawing something outside of just importing images or putting in things, it has a full MS Paint interface with it so that you can draw fully in black and white in MS Paint. It's fantastic. It's wild. You can make some really crazy pictures. So if you want to do hand-drawn animations that are kind of zine-like and a little warped, or have experiences that are really interesting, I highly recommend Decker. It's very interesting, and with very simple pieces of interface, you can build stuff that's really complex. As you can see here, there are events, and there are variables and listening events in Decker. I did not cover that because I just wanted to give you a overview, but those do exist. So more complex things can be done in Decker. All right. Does anyone have any questions about Decker before I move on to the next one? Do
you mind if I ask a question about Decker?
Go for it.
Have you played any cool games that you found inspiring that were made in Decker?
So I think that some of my favorite games are kind of zine type games. I was gonna say, where's I found out that December is Deck month. And also, canonically, Decker's mascot is a chicken.
Very nice.
Also, adding really silly captions to images is just it's incredible. Let me see if I can find. There it is. Ta-da! So I was gonna say, I personally have not. I guess I could give you a general sense of zine type games are the things that I like, but nothing particularly came to nothing particularly came to like mind when you mentioned that.
Yeah.
Yes, Jamaica. A question about Decker. Yeah. Also, hand sketch stuff is like, okay, yeah. I'll wait. Oh, this is NSFW. Can't do this on.
Let's not do that one on stream. So in the meantime, it looks like there are some good tags on itch.io where you can find Decker games, and that's a good place to start to find some inspiration.
Yep. Oh, can you not see this? Okay, hold on a sec. Screen. Make this. Wait.
Can you turn on your screen share once more?
Yes, I'm going to screen share. Ah, yes. Let me show you my Decker game. Let me find it. Okay, for some reason it is, for some reason it's not allowing me to do anything but the full screen, but can you see my messy desktop and the app version? Yes. Let's see if I do full screen, is it going to break it?
Decker the app.
Hell yeah, alright. So to answer your question, if you take this, you can actually move it around just as an object. Oh wait, that takes the... For some reason I thought it didn't do that. Wait a second. Hold on a sec. I'm gonna... Ah, there we go. One sec while I open. Okay. So, I believe that this will work. What? Alright. I've just discovered something about Decker that I didn't realize, which was that sometimes it'll take it'll take the pixels up with it, which is kind of a bummer because then you're having to kind of like very specifically look at things. The widgets themselves, I will show you like so. The widgets themselves can be like put on top of things, so you can have layering like so, where you don't necessarily have to. This is what am I trying to say? This is transparent, so you don't necessarily have to. You could put the sun here on top of the sun, or the star on top of the star, etc. That is one of the unfortunate things about selection tools like this. Ta-da! Yep. I swear to God, when I was building this before, and it, like, prior to me saving it and reloading it, that I was actually able to, like, pull the things as objects. So it was after I saved it and reloaded it that that for some reason it became one, like all one thing. Yeah, I'm wondering that too. part of me is like, anyway, so those are, there we go. Yeah, that's fine. Yep. And then let's see, I'll show you something here. Let's go to a card. So we're going to go to card, we'll make a new card. All right, so if we wanted to do some kind of drawing or something like that in Decker, this supports so many incredible things. Can draw a chicken if you want to. Oh. It deeply wants to make it into being, come on man, I'm trying to show off your good side and you're wigging out here. There we go. So this is the zoomed in version, but if I wanted to make like a chicken or something like that, a chicken head. You have something here. So yeah, I'm pretty impressed with like, there's also like a lot of different interesting fills that I personally find really interesting. Gonna take this and move it around. To the box. Java. So you can see right here, just to, God, this is really small. Okay, so you might have noticed that there are two things on the top of this area right here, and one of them says stroke and the other is fill. So stroke is going to be the outline and fill is going to be the actual box. So if you wanted to make a box that had a fill inside of it that had like a cool pattern like that, you'd want to make sure that you checked fill as opposed to stroke. All right. So that's what Decker looks like, and it's a cool little card. I'm going to delete this. Also, I should mention, I have not yet played with the audio of it. And so if you have any, if anybody has played with the audio of Decker, please let me know. I'm curious to know, as like somebody who is somebody who's a sound engineer or somebody who's played around with Decker, what that looks like. All right, move on to the next thing. All right, so let me show you. Yes. Go for the next game engine we're going to talk about is Narad. Narad is something that I learned about a couple of months ago, maybe. And tonight I'm going to show other people's games, but not my own games, in Narad. It's a game engine for visual novels and interactive fiction that is no to low code. However, the interface is very code based. So like the installation, you have to do it through a terminal. The interaction of the features, like writing up the features, even though it's similar or comparable to like RenPy maybe, you do have to go into a code editor for it. So less so than say Decker or the next game engine that I'm going to talk about, which has graphic user interfaces. Nerat is a little bit more on the like code interface side, but it also makes some really cool and interesting games. So what Nerat is good for, it's good for RPG adventures, visual novels, interactive fictions, and point-and-click games. So it has a series of games on Nerat.games, of which we are going to look at. The first I wanted to show you is the demo version because I think it helps kind of show all of the different tools and everything that Nerat has. So Nerat has... We're going to go to the main menu. Yes. Nerat looks kind of like this, where you have a main screen behind, like a main background behind the text. You can make choices in the game. I don't want help. There are supposed to be images here, so let's figure that one out. Hold on a sec. There we go. Ah, there we go. We got a cat. So it allows for like little portraits and things, and essentially what they encourage you to do is take the demo and hack it, very similar to RenPy. Fine, we'll ask for some help. You can do transitions from one screen to another screen. And image text choices. One of the things that you might notice here that I'll get to in the demo here is you have 10 energy and 10 money. So right off the bat, Nerat has inventory. So you can spend money, you can spend energy. You can also spend skill rolls, so you can have skill rolls for your character. This in particular, I think, is really cool if you want to make a game based off of like Dungeons and Dragons or something that generally has interesting like skills or abilities or things like that, where a player will make a roll against the computer, and depending on how well or worse it does, it will tell them the result of that. Love making choices in games. You can also put in custom CSS in the text, just like Music Cat right here. And I find that to be even more full-featured than Twine. So in Twine, you actually have to export the HTML and then go in and do CSS in it, into the Twine file. The last time I checked, I think I was doing that in Harlow. And I'm not sure what the CSS functionality in Chatbook is, but for sure it was a pain in the ass to have only one particular text be CSS enabled. But with Nerat, it happens pretty easily. You can also incorporate music, which again was something that was very difficult to do in Twine. So a lot of the stuff that Twine has a lot of difficulty dealing with, Nerat does pretty well. We're going to play some relaxing music. And now you can see you just leveled up in agility, and you can check your agility in your skills menu. Haha. So it actually has a skills menu. Now, all of this seems very, how do I say, like, the demo itself is very blocky. The skills in the UI are not, we'll say, refined. But, and I think that's somewhat similar to RenPy too. Like, the choices are not necessarily refined. But I wanted to show you... Oh, wait. Two last things before I move on to this next example. So inventory skill roles. Another thing that is really cool about Nerat is that it allows you to do image maps. And later in this demo, we'll get to the image maps. But essentially, you have an image, and then you have buttons on each, like, on places that you can go, so that you can show someone a simple map. And I find this to be something that reminds me a lot of, like, Newgrounds Flash games. In fact, a lot of this reminds me of Flash games, where you have, you know, simple energy, simple money, simple skills that you can... You can also have quests. Yes, so we're going to get 2 pieces of bread. And now we have a quest. We started the quest. Here's the shop. Here's the park. So this is what an interactive map looks like. Again, very, very simple, but you can see the potential in this, being able to make interactive maps. And again, all of this is included in the demo. So even if you were just taking pieces out of the demo and improving on it, the demo has everything that you need. Okay, so as I said, this is something that looks very, very simple. It looks like maybe something that you might have seen in Newgrounds, but I wanted to show you the potential of this game engine. Now, this isn't something that can be built in a... this game is not something that can be built in, like, a weekend, but it is something that really shows off some incredible parts of Nerat. The game is in Spanish. I speak a little bit of Spanish, but we're kind of just going to kind of move through it and see what it looks like. So you can see that it supports this really cool, like, animation of images. Did a beautiful, like, pixel animation. It also has the ability to do auto and skip, very similar to RenPy. You can continue on. So unlike RenPy, where it's primarily geared towards visual novels, this is a little bit of a hybrid of an interactive fiction and a visual novel. So we're setting the scene. There's a meteor that's falling. There's 2 people that are talking about you. We're gonna breathe. All right, so you can choose to open your eyes or call for someone. And this I really loved. So at this moment, you do a move check, and right now your, like, physical system it's impossible because you just don't have a physical corporeal form. And now if you check your skills, you can see you have humanity, crystallization, and memory, which, again, what exactly do those mean? I have no idea, but it adds a little bit of intrigue to the entirety of the game.
Don't you want to play more to find out?
I really do. Yeah.
I do.
I'm actually planning on playing this game with some of our native Spanish speaking friends,
yes.
Just for the like, I want to play through this and see everything. So it's got like a sort of dark Secret of Monkey Island vibe. There we go. We've woken up in the morgue. And at this point, they're going to ask us to introduce ourselves. We have amnesia. They also have text boxes where you can put your name in, and it'll remember the player name. Again, similar to MPI as well. So this is a really cool engine that you can utilize. I will show you what Nerat looks like under the hood. One moment. So going back to our demo game, this is what the Nerat game looks like in demo. So I just opened this in VS Code, and you can see that inside of the scripts, there is the script choices. So it really does function a lot like RenPy. So if you've ever had any experience with RenPy or visual novels, Python in particular, like this syntax is very similar to RenPy. You've got your CSS here, so you can, this is your, how do I say, default CSS. Oh, thank you, yeah. There we go. You can see the quests, you can see items. So these are just inventories of all the things that you can do and get in the game. There's the Nerat icon. So like I said, I think and this public folder is where you put all of your assets, so your audio assets, your image assets, your music assets, etc., etc. So the naming structure, in my opinion, is relatively straightforward for somebody who is not super familiar with code. But also this could be something that could be a turnoff for people who are just really afraid of working with things that don't necessarily have a graphic user interface. The cool part about this, though, is that if you have a browser window open and you're just making like if you're making updates in this demo, you can just reload the game and it'll show up in your browser. So that's a really easy way of seeing what kind of effects your choices have. Again, very similar to RenPy, where you load the game and then you can see what kind of effects you have in the game. Cool. So that is it for Nerat. It's an interesting one. It's one I want to dive more into, I think, because I only did sort of a small surface jump for the purposes of this talk, but I personally think it can be something that can be very powerful.
Maybe you'll use it for the game jam.
It's true, yeah. I think it's a good game jam game.
You know, I gotta say, I think it's kind of ironic that Nerat has cats in their demo project instead of rats.
It being a rat.
Yeah.
It's a bummer, too, because rats are really cute.
It's true. Missed opportunity.
Very. Does anyone have any questions about Nerat? Granted, I've built stuff in Decker. I haven't built stuff yet in Nerat, so I may not be able to answer super technical questions about Nerat.
Alright, if anyone has something to ask later, feel free to put it in the chat.
Yep.
For now, we've got one more game engine to look at.
One more game engine. Play that game. One sec. All right. So I saved the best for last, in my personal opinion. So the last game, yes, there is a cat, and there's a cat who wants to know why we're sitting here and not paying attention to her. Actually, you can meet this cat in game. So Bitsy is a game engine that was developed by Adam Ledoux, which I hope I'm pronouncing his name correctly. And it is a game engine that is dedicated towards like building small virtual worlds, interactive worlds, deconstructed spaces, telling stories that involve exploring an environment, and a story that has inventories and things that you can pick up. So I've made a fully polished game called Our Home, and that's available on itch.io. So I have the most extensive experience developing in Bitsy, out of these three at least. So Bitsy is one of those engines that, like, if you want kind of a really sweet pixelated ambiance space, I highly recommend it. In this case, I was actually considering making a Bitsy game for the Game Jam, where we get like a quote from everybody and put it in the game for the Game Jam, so everybody could talk to like different people at the Game Jam, you know?
Well, that sounds fun.
Right?
Let's do that.
Yeah. So like stuff like that, where like you can recreate physical spaces, I think is really fun. So the game that I made is a recreation of actually our house that I live in. And you'll be able to see our home. We're going to play a little bit here. It's about a 5-minute playthrough-ish. So this is the front of our house. Can't pass that way. Okay. We're going to pick up a carrot. Probably make food with it or feed it to the rabbits. We see a cat here, so let's interact with this cat. And it's our cat, Jello. In fact, the same cat that's on the stream. She has long fur and long, thin legs, and she looks very elegant. And we do call her the queen at home. And it's true, she sometimes leaves us royal presents. So Bitsy is organized as a series of maps that you can go in between. So I'm going in between these two maps. There are lots of things that I can interact with here. Each interactable thing is either called a sprite. This would be a sprite where I'm interacting with it and it's giving me text. Sprites also can be programmed to give you different text based on what kinds of things that you have. So I'm going to pick up this item. It's a royal present from Jello.
Gross.
And if I go back to Jello, she's going to say something different, which is, I got your gross present. So in this way, we can look around things and pick up things. And really the only ending credits are when you leave the space or when you decide to leave the space. Now, of course, we want to go say hi to Matt. It is Mabby's.
It's me, Mabby's.
Hi, Mabby's.
Hi, CJ.
Mabby's wants to know whether or not I know where his rubber duck is. Because he needs programming. You can't just leave with presents in hand. That's for sure. But yeah, there are 2 ducks in this house and only 1 duck likes programming. So we have to find the duck that likes programming. This duck looks like it likes programming.
Oh, good.
So yeah, you can do kind of simple animations with different sprites and stuff. Everything is intended to be very simple. So let's look at this underneath the hood. Part of this interface is in Japanese because I am currently translating this game into Japanese, which is its own kind of like interesting thing. So this is what Bitsy looks like. If you go to make.bitsy.org, you too can make your own Bitsy game. This is kind of a complex game, so there's a lot of different things that you can do. But essentially, one of the things I find very, very helpful is that if you're making a lot of assets, there's a little find bar and find by ID. So you can check things by avatar, you can check by sprite, you can check by color, you can check by dialogue, tile, etc. Tile are things that are like non-interactable things. So like all of the walls and the bed and everything, those are all tiles. So this is the main interface, is looking at the rooms. So you can flip between the first floor back, the first floor front, the second floor front, and the second floor back, all that we interacted with before. And you can see what they look like kind of in game. You can also see that they are applying a tune to them. Perhaps you can hear. So that is the tune that plays when you're going into the hold on, there we go. That's the tune that plays when you're going into the house, and I made it myself. And how do you make it? By basically going into this composer, and you can see this composer has a bunch of different, how do I say, you've got like little bars, you can loop here. This is what this looks like. But I just love the graphic, interfaces here. Just even graphically representing music is so cool. And so this is your bass line, and then this is your melody here. So I gotta say, when it comes to like chip tunes and like editing chip tunes and stuff, I really like the Bitsy editor a lot. Another thing that's really cool about Bitsy that you might not know is that they have a GIF recorder. So if you wanted to record a GIF for, say, like itch.io or to promote your game, people do like, weekly devlogs of stuff. You can record a GIF using this little tool here, and it's really easy, and it just easy exports it to your computer. So again, just like these like small, cool little things that that otherwise are very, very like there are some, how do I say, some game editors just don't let you do that kind of stuff, or you need to take a screen share have it in .mov and then export it, like, encode it into a GIF. So one of the things I'll note for Japanese, for anybody who's doing Japanese work or bilingual work, is that Japanese text is really big for some reason. And so you need to insert line breaks where you normally wouldn't put line breaks, because the text is super big. And that is just the default Bitsy text. I went on some forums to see what, if there was anybody doing non-default, custom Bitsy fonts, and I haven't found anyone so far doing Japanese character set. I've seen people do English letter set, but not Japanese character set. Anyway, that's just something to note if you're going to be translating it. Yeah, Japanese fonts are a tough business, man. I know that. When Mabby's was developing stuff in Pico 8, trying to get it readable in Japanese fonts was crazy. I even spoke with some Japanese developers who's, do stuff in Pico 8.
Yeah.
And they said, well, we just try not to have that much text, or we just do custom sprites for kanji. And I was like, oh, that's painful.
It sure is.
Oh, another thing, outside of Tune, there's a thing called the Blip-O-Matic that allows you to make your own little sound effects. So you can boo-doo, or pick up things. That's the sound that plays when you flush the toilet in the game. Ah, yes, yeah, doing katakana like in the old games. I think, Pico 8 and some of these game engines really lend themselves to having a little bit more of a retro feel, so that ultimately ends up in a, generally good place. So, color palettes are pretty cool. Bitsy only allows you to have 3 colors, so you just have to pick really carefully. I think that messing around with the colors is really cool. There are Ananthropy does some really awesome itch. It's the Pokemon one. Sorry, Ananthropy does some really good Bitsy games. For instance, this is a Bitsy game all about just a pun about Pokemon that she wanted to make. And I feel like Bitsy really lends itself to these kinds of things where it's I want to make a game about a dumb thing. So now we're gonna... because he might Pikachu. The end!
Incredible.
But, it's if you wanted to make a game out of a really silly, stupid joke, you could do that with Bitsy, because it's just, it's so easy and it's so versatile. It doesn't take that much time to make a game that's literally... What was that, a less than 30-second playthrough?
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. So, I think Bitsy is a great tool for making little virtual worlds, and I hope that you're inspired by it the same way that I'm inspired by it. So there you have it. 3 engines, each with their own interesting features that are easy to learn and also easy to develop for. And I hope that some of the teams will be using one of these at the Game Jam. I'm also versed in... I feel like I'm kind of like a savant when it comes to game engines. I just poke around. I've developed in almost all of the game engines. Almost all of them, actually. We've done iOS, we've done Unity, we've done Unreal, we've done... I haven't done Godot yet, and I haven't done RPG Maker, which is incredible because RPG Maker is so big.
Yeah.
But, I just bounce around to a lot of game engines because I find them interesting, and I can't keep focused on one or the other. So if anyone has any questions about that kind of stuff or wants to make, I'm oh, are you still waiting for Godot?
Hey.
Got him. Yes, that's right. Actually, I was thinking of following, I was thinking of doing a project with Philippe next week on the 23rd at 8 p.m. Philippe's going to be doing a Unity to Godot workflow thing, and I was actually thinking of maybe porting a project that I had in Unity into Godot while I was watching along with him. So the answer is probably soon. Probably I'll get my hands in it soon. Cool. Thank you for listening to my session. If anyone has any questions about my personal process, picking up new game engines, pretty much I'm not afraid to pick up anything new. I do it all the time. Sometimes I do it with not a lot of preparation, but Toriaizu, I pick it up anyway.
Yeah. I want to share a Bitsy resource for folks that are interested in Bitsy. Anti-Anthropy has a collection on itch.io of both some Bitsy games and also some Bitsy tile sets that you can import and use to make your own Bitsy game.
Nice. Yeah, Bitsy has a pretty good community. They have a itch.io community that is relatively how do I say, I'm in communication with the person, the dev who is making Bitsy. It's quite a lively community. I was gonna say, actually, all of the indie communities around this are lively. Decker's indie community is lively, Bitsy's is lively, and Nerat's is lively too. So even if you get into the game engine and you're having problems, you can go talk with people. Oh, good question. So you can, when you export a file from Bitsy, it gets exported into an HTML file. I shall show. So it both downloads and uploads the file as HTML. I imagine that there is a music file that they have a music file somewhere in there, but it's not I don't think that you can, well, how do I say this? I have never tried to just use the beat maker and get the music just from that. I will say one thing, not unrelated to it is related to Bitsy, but one of my friends developed Beatbox, and it is a free online beep maker, and I've heard that it's used by game devs actually, and if you want something that's a little bit more full featured like that, you might consider using this. It's pretty cool. One of the cool things is that the song data is contained in the URL, so you're just you copy and paste the URL to share your song, which I think is kind of cool. Oh, so there is game data that has the tunes in it, eh?
If you go to game data, in the tool panel you can see all of the notes that the tracker writes out, that the tune tool uses.
So there is. Thank you for that. Okay, we gotta find it. Oh my god, I named the plants.
Plants.
Plance.
Yeah, that's right. Plance.
That's right. The plants are French. Plance. Mine clearly has way more data than Mabby's is one because
you have multiple rooms.
Mm-hmm. There it is. There's the tune. So this is the tune that I built right to here. Yeah, yep. It's like MIDI data. Cool. Do you have any questions about Bitsy Mabbies?
Do I have any questions about Bitsy? Can you show off how to make cool text in Bitsy?
Yeah.
I think that adds a lot of personality.
So, all right. So there's a couple of there's a couple of things that you can do with text, and I think it is useful, perhaps. Not this dashboard. I think it's useful to run this game to like actually see what it looks like. Okay, so there's a couple of text effects you can do. One is this sort of wavy text.
Yeah.
And then another type is if we play in the record player, you have this cool rainbow text. So how you would go and get those is that there are special tags in Bitsy that allow you to do different text effects. So you have this gross present is in wavy text. So this is going to be the text and tags goes up and down. The game does not feature any shake shake tags, and that's part of the reason is because I wanted kind of like a chill experience rather than like something that's kind of scary and unnerving.
Yeah.
RBW is text and tags that are rainbow colored, and then you can specify a color palette if you want. So you can have different people say different things in different colors.
All right, cool.
So those are some of the ways that you can make text interesting in Bitsy. Also, if poop equals 1, then... Like I said, it's all very, how do I say? Like, it's very graphic user interface. So you're not doing, while or for loops. You're actively, like, putting blocks on top of it. I guess it reminds me a little bit of Scratch. Yeah, it's a WYSIWYG interface. Cool. All right. So those are the 3 game engines. I hope that you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, feel free to message me on the Discord or pop them in chat before we end the session. But I think, thank you all for joining and listening to me ramble about fun and new game engines.
Alright. Thanks everyone for joining the stream. You have been you. We have been CJ and Mabbies. Tomorrow we have more streams. Phil will be presenting
Next week.
Next week we have more. Thank you. Yes, we don't have stream tomorrow. Don't show up on this Twitch channel tomorrow. Nobody will be streaming. Next week, on Tuesday the 23rd.
Yep.
Phil will be streaming about moving from Unity to Godot.
Mm-hmm.
じゃあ来週の23日は次のストリームです。フィルはUnity to Godot について話します。What else?
What about your session, Matt?
And I will be streaming on Wednesday the 24th. Wednesday the 24th, yes. 来週の水曜日は私のストリームです。トピックは、Play with your code. Exploratory coding with Pico 8. And finally, I would like to once again ask for y'all's support. We have a Ko-Fi page at ko-fi.com/GGJTokyo.
Yep. A new news is that it looks like, according to the venue, we will be able to increase our capacity from 40 people to 50 people. But that also means that the budget that we previously had for snacks is no longer enough, and so
Yes.
We are asking for folks to take a look at the Ko-Fi page and help us out. We will we'll do our best to make sure everybody is nice and fed and taken care of at the site, and we would love for your support. Anything else, Mandy?
I think that's all.
All right. Thank you all for tonight, and we will see you tomorrow, Jesus.
Next week.
Next week.
Next
We'll see you next
Tuesday.
week.
来週の
来週の火曜日.
火曜日
Yeah,
で
that's
すね。
right. All right. Clearly we're too tired. See you next Tuesday.
Yes. ありがとうございます。おやすみなさい。
All right. Good night, y'all.